Welcome back everyone to the Complete Pineleaf, where today we have been asked to hunt some wargs who are supposed to be roaming all over the place. I saw several wargs during the last episode, so I'm sure I'm going to have absolutely no trouble finding them. I believe, actually, it does say wargs or warg riders very specifically in the quest hint there, so we will go with that. But first I have to get them down. Well, actually, that wasn't all that trouble. Defeat warg kind. I don't know. I don't think there's anything really kind about wargs, but if you say so. And there you go. Oops. There you go. Now, I need to find a couple of more, then I'll be done. There you go. I thinned out the wargs for you.
You've done well, my friend.
Yes, I too have slayed many of our enemies, but it seems that two more crossed the river from Caranandros for each one that I defeat. This does not seem to be a battle that we could win. Well, there is that little problem.
Before I can return, we have to recall the scouts I sent forth from Krethos.
We are nearing the end now. The Mordor host that pours into Talathanor shows no sign of slowing. I am almost ready to return to Minas Tirith. But first, we need to recall two of the scouts I sent forth from Krethos. Go to the northwest and northeast and tell Congrail and Brunion that it is time for them to return to the North Gate. They have done well, but now they must think of their own safety. Find them quickly, Pineleaf. They're sure to be in danger as the situation north of the Ramos worsens. Defeat any enemies that you come across as well. They may be readying for our retreat, but that's no reason not to strike at our enemies while we do so. We may be ready. Yes, okay, so find the two scouts and kill any foes that I find. You mean such as warg riders and Sundalar. Well, more of those wonderful mounted foes that are so lovely to fight against, right? Now, this is certainly not one of my favorite areas to have to deal with because of the joys of fighting mounted foes. Well, at least this one stayed away. Well, for a while. And Suhalar Rider. Oops, it's Daisy. Oh, he prefers to fight right next to me. Okay, fine. My specialty. Poke him with a stick. A very pointed one. Now, I need to find those scouts. Oh, here's a change. A warg that isn't carrying a rider. Now, it's a signature instead of a normal, but, well, I can't have everything, can I? But he was a lot easier to take care of. Oh, now I get Beast Slayer of Old Anorian. Now, I am still in need of finding that scout, who I presume is this way because that's where the little arrow is pointing. Hello there, it is time to return to base. Ah, you need not tell me twice. Right, well, he apparently is going away with quite a bit of alacrity. Now let's see if I can find the other scout. As I had to fight through two orcs to get here, and this place is riddled with mounted foes, I suspect that she would be just as happy to get out of here as the other scout was. Right? I will return at once. Yep. Quite happy to get out of there. Now, let me get out of here. The scouts should have returned by now.
Now lead the way to the gate in Haramis. I will be right behind you.
I'm glad that you found them both. Now, lead the way to the gate. Good. Heading to the gate. The scouts made it back to the gate at least, and here's Ingold, and they seem to be having some trouble.
Darathont has not yet returned. We cannot wait long.
Some of the scouts have returned, and I'm grateful, for I have need of their weapons, as you can see. Barathon? No, I haven't seen him yet. Did you say that he was coming? We can't wait long, Pineleaf. If he's coming, he has to get here soon. Well, we can only hope. Oh, we got orcs here. Of course there'd be orcs coming here. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, don't hit myself. I'm just klutzy today. Oh, why does it keep on saying that I think I want to hit myself? I don't want to hit myself. I'm gonna hit the orcs. You can't wait any longer for them to arrive. Alright.
We cannot wait any longer. Ride!
We must fall back.
To the city!
Ride to the city. Alright, I'll ride to the city. Oh boy. That was quite a hassle.
What can you tell me of the situation in Talathano?
I didn't expect to see you so soon after your departure, Pineleaf. What can you tell me? A second force? It must be a pincer attack. Our enemy has been planning this for some time, and soon each host will close upon the city. It will make the triumph of Gondor all the sweeter when those plans are destroyed. Well, we can only hope for that. So, why the enemy needs to bother with pincer moves, considering how we're all surrounded and all, I have no idea, but...
Minas Tirith will soon be encircled by our enemies. Time is short.
Time is getting short, but we must fill the hours before we get surrounded, or minutes that remain to us, with preparations that will help us survive the approaching onslaught. While you were surveying the situation in Talathanor, I learned of a handful of folk who desired your assistance with matters both large and small. Go to them and see what they need if you can. Mithrandir wished to speak with you at greater length about your encounter with the enemy commander in Osgiliath. Find him in the citadel atop the city. Arador, the chief scribe of the council, was impressed by your work on his behalf and has asked to speak with him on the Dome of the Sun in the Sixth Circle. The council was waiting for Ingold to return to the city, and perhaps your experience beyond the Ramasahor will be of interest to them. In other council matters, the captain of the garrison has been trying to improve the morale of folk remaining in the city. Find Hekaton and see what you can do. Alright, so talk to Mithrandir, talk to Arador, and speak to Ekhadon. Well, seeing how Mithrandir hastes to wait, I will speak with Mithrandir first. Hello there, you needed me for something?
I must hear what you saw in Osgiliath, and I must hear it quickly.
There you are, Pineleaf. I suppose you have been north of the Ramasahor on Imrahil's errand. I told you to assist the Prince of Dol Amroth, but soon afterwards I regretted doing so. There were some matters I should have asked you about in greater detail, but I gave away my chance by sending you away. It is all right now, for you've returned, and I will not worry any longer. I must hear what you saw in Osgiliath, and I must hear it quickly. No, not here. Speak to me if you're ready, and we will depart together to the old archives, where we will find the first and oldest collection of scrolls in the city. I think your tale may require further study, and that is where we may conduct it. All right. To the old archives.
Let us go to the old archives and speak on the way.
You may begin the tale of your experiences on Osgiliath as we walk, and perhaps I will have heard its full extent by the time we have arrived. We must not spend too long poring over old scrolls when the battle is so close upon us, but My heart tells me that there is something that we've overlooked, some detail that may be of use to us in the days ahead. We must know what this thing may be. Let's start.
Your encounter with Gothmog fills me with a dread I cannot explain. I hope to learn why here in the old archives.
Maybe it just emanates a dread that you need some hope in order to counteract it? Never mind. Welcome to the old archives, Pineleaf. They were carved into the pier rock in the center of the Sage's Neath when the city was still called the Tower of the Sun. This was the original library and storehouse of the city, and it remains a trove of ancient knowledge and secrets. There is much to discover in the scrolls and books that are kept here, but few in these days give much thought to these dusty shelves. There is no semblance of order to be found. It was in these dark chambers that I found the scroll of Isildur, and learned much that I needed to know. Well, I hope it isn't something that bad. I'm worried about the commander you met in Osgiliath. Gothmog. Yes? Gothmog, the Dread Terror. Alright. He claims to be Mordorith, reclaimed from the void. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's what he said. But neither of those is his true name. And his true name is... I think I remember hearing that before. His true name was Eärnur, and he was the last king of Gondor. Eärnur was mighty, and he did not lack for courage, but he possessed none of the caution that could have saved him from his doom. He had great victory in Fornost when he defeated the Witch King of Angmar, but that victory stirred his pride to great heights. The Witch King fled. Prince Eärnur believed that he had nearly rid Middle-earth of that terrible foe and cursed his failure to end it there. Years later, the Witch King issued a challenge to Eärnur, now the king of Gondor, and summoned him to Minas Morgul. Eärnur went to the dark city to face his hated foe, and was lost. We know now that his will was mastered, and he became the loyal servant of his former enemy. He took on a new name, Mordorith, and was given the rule of Angmar while the Witch King managed the interests of Mordor elsewhere in Middle-earth. Though your own efforts of these of the Rangers and the champions of Angmar, he was defeated, but it seems that victory was not the last. He maintained some bond to his former self, and it allows his dark master to draw him back before he was lost for good. Search this chamber for mention of Eärnur, and I will search the other. Search for information about Eärnur, the last king of Gondor. There we go. Nope, nothing there. And nothing there. Are we going to have much that is of irrelevant or something like that? Well, this is the last chance here. You find a yellowed scroll that bears Eärnur's name many times throughout. How about this? Ah, you had better fortune than I did, Pineleaf, for I have not yet found anything. Let me see. There are matters of interest in this scroll. It speaks of not one challenge, but two, a detail of which I was not aware. It appears that the Witch King challenged Eärnur to ride forth, and the king was dissuaded from that foolishness by his steward, a wise man named Mardil. That name I do know, for he had become the first of the ruling stewards when Eärnur disappeared into Minas Morgul. It was from his line that Denethor draws his authority. Alright? Eärnur did not ride to Minas Morgul alone. Alright? He was accompanied by a retinue of knights, and they disappeared with him. Some of these men you may have seen before, transformed into Kargul. Well, that's not nice. This scroll bears their names: Orlog, and Calatur, and Silmatar, and Makilnis. I cannot match these names with their fates. These names are not familiar to me, but I do have a dim recollection of a man named Orlog may have committed some heroic deed in the Battle of Fornost. It is the barest hint of his memory, but I have not even that for these others. Makilnis is a common name amongst the women of Gondor. None of the histories I have seen include any women in the retinue of Eärnur's knights, but the scroll appears to be genuine to me, and I have no reason to doubt it. Some of Eärnur's knights have returned to trouble Middle-earth as Kargul, but the power he wielded as Mordred seems more deadly than theirs. We should expect he will be more powerful still in his guise as Gothmog. And yet, somewhere behind these masks, does any of Eärnur remain? He was bold, but foolish. Can it be that Gothmog will be the same? What, bold and foolish? Well, search the chamber for more mention of Eärnur, and I will search the other. For more mentioning of Eärnur. Alright, you stay scroll. Nothing there. Nothing there. How about here? Now, this is going to be going through quite a lot. This book seems to be falling apart, and you handle it gingerly to find little of note. Well, you really teased me there, didn't you? You find a dusty tome containing records of the kings and the stewards. Well, that may be interesting. Hello, does this help? You found something else? Yes. This book contains charts describing the passage of succession through the line of kings, and then through the line of the ruling stewards. You see? Here is Mardil, the first of the stewards, who ruled Gondor after Eärnur was taken into the darkness of Minas Morgul. Mardil swore an oath to rule only until the king returned, and each ruling steward has made the same vow. Perhaps at one time the stewards believed that the line of the king should return, but that possibility must now seem quite unlikely. We should not speak of it even here, but there is one who, on his way to Minas Tirith, who will remind Denethor of his vow. The king may very well return to Gondor, and the rule of the stewards will no longer be necessary. Until the king returns. Oh dear. Yes? Pineleaf, you are not to speak a word of this to anyone, but I fear that we may have overlooked a crucial detail. Yes? You're not going to tell me either. Our mutual friend approaches the city in the company of his Dunedain kin. If Gondor survives the war to come, he will claim the kingship. He will trace his line back through the years to Isildur. But what if someone else seeks to claim that right? What if Eärnur claims the kingship? He is descended from Anarion, brother of Isildur, in unbroken succession. If he can prove he is Erner, his claim to the throne is stronger than Aragorn's. We must prevent it, Pineleaf. We must prevent the return of this king. It may come to nothing, Pineleaf. There are few in the city who could believe that a man might return from the darkest depths of evil. Though he was once Erner, he has worn many guises since the King of Gondor. He cannot be the man that he was, and despite the rules of succession, he has been corrupted by Angmar and by Mordor. But we must remain alert. If Gothmog does seek to seize the throne of Gondor, we must oppose him, no matter the cost. Oh boy. What can we do about that turn of events? We have to look into that in the next episode of The Complete Pineleaf.